What up, guys? What's up? It's Shani with Healing Elements, and I am excited to do this video. I'm adding this probably to the spirit animal playlist. This is all about, in general, the essence and the spirit, and what I and tradition, of course, in different cultures consider the dragon energy to be. So, happy Lunar New Year. The Chinese New Year this year of 2024 is that of the dragon, and also doing the archetype videos lately, and definitely creatively inspired, and it's the perfect timing if you've seen my other videos. If not, I have not been doing this for about a year and a half, and it's right, and it feels good, and I think I might start back my podcast again. We'll see how this goes. Just was on a hiatus due to physical health. So welcome to my channel again, Shani with Healing Elements. And before I get to the bullet points to talk about what I feel, and again, symbolically throughout history and different cultures have considered the dragon to represent. So in Chinese mythology, these are creatures in which all have unique personalities, and long ago did share the realms and were protector of man, community, again, a protective force, somewhere an emperor, somebody that was considered divine and very wise. So in Chinese society and culture, seen traditionally and very much revered to be a blessing of good fortune, good luck, some sort of precognitive omen that is linked with, the guarantee of a destiny that is going to be that of a success, one that will be very fortunate. And of course, this can be considered most often times good luck with, abundance of money, but also it can be, because it's associated in Chinese culture and mythology, with a good harvest, a healthy, fruitful harvest that is not only nutritious and nourishes the community, but also, can be of benefit with the trade or with monetary value. So this is talking about the abundance and harvest and that which feeds, and when we feed and or when we are able to buy goods and services and do things with money, we are then prosperous, and we are also healthy, we are protected. And so it's the protection that which somebody is going to go to, like an elder maybe in traditional indigenous tribes, right? This is someone who is very calm, cool, and collected, has been through so many, even leadership, circumstances, that it's somebody who, no matter what the question is, it's like if you can't figure out, you go to this person. So if you relate to any of these traits of the spirit of the dragon, or can use this energy that is, interesting. It talks about most notably, of course, being prosperous and having a belief when you come in contact with this symbolic representation, in form, maybe in dreams, or you see dragons, etc., when there is a direct tie, and you are getting some pretty strong signs that you are being encouraged to work with the energy of the dragon. This is talking about abilities of a psychic nature, or abilities of somebody who understands that there's no need to squawk and argue over spiritual principles or concepts, or there is no more time for learning. This is a master stage. This is a master ascendant, that is somebody who is a mentor in the sense of understanding that there is a knowing now that has become energy, a very, you know, able to breathe fire, or just, there's different kind of dragons. There are ones actually mixed with different animals. There are definitely a lot of tie-ins that have to do with, you know, being slightly different in a dimension. So when we talk about, again, the culture of Chinese culture and dragons, that was just something that has always been considered a symbol more. So in the Chinese mythology, they're considered to be real, again, real animals, beasts that lived amongst the people. But I believe, and in this, I think, meaning and symbolic tie-in that I'm going to give it to, I think that it's, you know, like Einstein says, right? I'm going to plug him because he's on my same birthday, 314. Why not? We're being cheesy. Well, we love it. So does the neighbors. Um, like time and space and relativity basically is all in the eye of the beholder. So again, time and space, that is relative to one's perspective, right? So Einstein taught us this. And so I think that basically there are different parts of Chinese culture who do still believe that they are still existent, kind of like the elementals or things like that, that they just live beyond the veil now because of the different circumstances and times that we've been in for a long time. So this is about perspective, I think, and how we can use our imagination and definitely be okay to feel either way. You can feel that dragons went extinct, or you can feel that they're beyond the veil. This is all about honoring the tradition, honoring the symbolic meaning behind the dragon. So some are still able to see dragons, and that, of course, would, in my opinion, connect strongly to the dragon spirit and have that as a guide. I feel very tied in. I also want to mention that in Chinese culture and mythology associated with water, so water dragons and the psychic water sign type group of Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, the tapping into that which either frightens people or is just too emotionally involved, and the quest is very, difficult for everyone to come to the conclusions. And obviously when you're wise, and the dragon is associated with the sage, that kind of energy. And so when we are at this point in our journey, we've been through it, like all the trouble I've seen, right? Don't want to karaoke here, but again, this is about masculine protective energy. Thou shalt be safe with me type of knighted energy, where you want to be a guard, a king's guard. You want to do this because of the honor. So the dragon essence and energy is all about having this stoic, absolutely willing, and very noble, right? Quiet, and looks very in place, I want to say. This type of vibe. So it's synonymous also with Chinese emperors. I think that, we can say in the culture that being a divine ruler, a godhead, and also a dragon, a lot of blending between what they really did believe that emperor was standing for and was. So the Chinese culture and mythology also talks about, again, having a hybrid type of creatures that were dragon, half animals. I thought that was super interesting. And they also possessed, which I did not know until doing research, they also possessed shape-shifting capabilities. Be seen as different manifestations. And I think that might have a tie in, me metaphorically. Now, I definitely, again, respect to anyone who has better knowledge. This is just metaphorically. I felt like when I was reading about this, it had a tie-in more so with the metaphoric sense, right? Like that they could go in and out of a dimensional space is what I got, the shape-shifting type of vibe. But again, take it as you will. The Chinese culture held the dragon in just extremely high regard, and still does, of course. Again, 2024, it's the year of the dragon. Also, I have the years written down here. So if you were born in 1940, 1952, 1964, 1976, 1988, 2000, 2012, and 2024. So it's every 12 years you would be born within the Chinese zodiac sign that year of the dragon. So I'm next year. It is 1977 was my birth year. So talking about, again, symbolic, high regard, that which is fortuitous, that is a blessing, something that is a good omen, and something that is more of a relief and a sense of safety, that goes along with the protection, because you have a capable, armada within this one beautiful beast who is loyal and wise and knows that, war is the last result, but is obviously capable in different forms. And even I was reading about, there's like a demonic type, or different ones that are just beastly mix with dragons is very interesting. And there's a lot of them. So very, very intriguing. I could go on for hours, but let's go through some of the bullet points that I put down in my notes, guys, about the dragon spirit. So, again, the sage, that point in a, journey of our soul path to enlightenment, or that very long, long journey, in my opinion, through many timelines, many dimensions, many existence, past lives, so to speak, right? I believe they're all happening at the same time. Everything, I think, is, I'm having a better understanding as we go on, even though it's complex and you can't comprehend, I don't believe, the entirety of it. But I think that everything ever played out is already been done. So past, present, and future. We can't understand this now because of linear thinking. So many near-death experiencers and people that have had some pretty important transcendental moments talk about that. And I think it really is what I, and my guides give me the understanding about that. And so it's definitely intensifying. I think the dragon spirit signifies a pathway that a lot of us are on right now, that stage of, and there's no levels to it. I was just telling my mom, there are different, let's call them subjects in spiritual awakening, or just knowledge that is very, very helpful, like modalities to heal ourselves, and sound frequencies, and just finding out that this divine nature, right? There's so many benefits. And I was telling my mom, because, she's like, oh, why doesn't this and that subject frighten you or whatnot? Because she is definitely going through some ascension, and it's amazing and beautiful. We're best friends, and we're not perfect, but it's a blessing to have her, and it's amazing me that she's coming to these different epiphanies that this beautiful Virgo I didn't think would ever be open to, and having some experiences. So she was asking me, because we have differences a lot. Of course, we're opposite, Virgo and Pisces. So we often have exact opposite, I call them spiritual subjects, or lessons, or experiences, or traumas, like spiritual attacks that we put into our own perception as being an attack, right? She will have something totally that doesn't bother me. I'm like, what? Why would you? Oh, okay. And then the things that maybe I'm comfortable with, let's bring up my hashtag Sparkle Horse, the testimony when I got my first past life memory by accident, an inadvertent accident. It was meditation, and my cat, me and him are super close. He brought on this past life memory, as I came to find out. So that right there is something my mom is just in the tip of the iceberg, maybe, asking a lot about these different timelines, past, present, past lives, things like that. And so she said, it just is so funny. She's like, typical Virgo energy. She's like, I'm getting vexed. I'm so, it was making her frustrated because this energy was coming out as truth. Because she was talking about a trauma that she thinks. She was asking if one of our relatives and her, because they've had a tumultuous relationship, do I think they shared another timeline or a past life? So it was funny because, again, she and I talked, and that's what I want to tell you today. The dragon energy embodies being at not a certain level. Like, it's not like college, you graduate and you understand. There are different subjects of spirituality. There are different tracks and different approaches, different ways in which we learn, and different skills that we acquire at different times, I believe, in different lifetimes, and based on what our speciality is of the soul, or what we want to bring in and integrate into that exact physical reality. So I think that it is really notable to say, is just because somebody is going to spiritual retreats and meditates 2 hours a day, and that makes you extremely uncomfortable because you've tried a couple times and you don't, but you go to nature conservatories and you are just a nature person and you go out and ground, or there is no, and if you go to church, it's like there is no comparison. That's another spiritual lesson and energy with the dragon. Is kind of like that, if you picture a dragon in lore, just very in the dragon's lair, very content and just staying in wait. It is a very silent, still, almost like I picture it. It's like the meditative Buddha on the mount type of vibe. It is, a very stoic, like sitting there like Buddhas do, and not having to move for whatever reason to go to the restroom, or if it's very cold in the room or something like that. So this is talking about being able to embrace that is, of course, supernatural, and being able to talk about, you know, spirit with everybody. But this is coming from this essence of the dragon spirit is someone who does it by, and I have a lot of beautiful people who I have loved watching the last 6 years, 7 years on YouTube that do this, is rather than preach and squawk about verbally what they feel other teachers spiritually or other people are doing wrong to mislead people, or what technique is actually the best, better technique, etc. I love the people who just lead by example and also welcome everybody to the party, right? Everybody to the party, as long as, of course, there are frequencies that vibrate together and therefore bunch up together and create a community and network that are of the same like vibe, right? But there is also such a beauty in the whole entire experience and understanding, right? And understanding that wisdom and this vibe of, the Hierophant in tarot, it's like a quiet leader, someone who leads by action, someone who, again, the vibe just reminds me of those who don't preach, they live by example. I just saw, I can't remember, I'm going to shout someone out because I rarely watch videos of like, tarot or things like that. Not because of any reason, I've been really obsessed with looking at documentaries and videos that have to do with biofilm and things that I'm dealing with in a health immune system thing and all this, which I'll go into another video. But that's the only reason. So I just recently checked my subscriptions after a really long time, and I think, or I just saw her come up, I can't remember, but the vibe was really beautiful. I happened to click, of course, on the right video for me, and it's talking about this vibe about you are the only, basically, it's so cheesy, but you're the one who is leading the ship. You're the one who is able, right, to go through these times and process them. And everybody does things, and everybody has different, again, subjects or areas of spiritual concepts that they feel more comfortable with, or that they're just choosing to be drawn to, or being guided to, or being called to. Just that's their path to go through different things. So there is no comparison. That's one of the lessons, and that is just beautiful. And I think it's energy, like INNR, energy. I think tarot. I would check it out. I think if I'm not already subscribed, I'm gonna go subscribe. But she was really cool talking about that. That's the one message that I happened to see really quick was, she was beautiful, long, beautiful messages. I would recommend it. But talking about that exact vibe. So, talking about also a wisdom that is especially based on a tradition that is so ancient and never was changed or tweaked. Like, for instance, it wouldn't work for the Bible because the Bible has been, Old Testament, New Testament, King James Version, different. But, this is all about having an ancient, again, a very old knowing that has been through the steps of the spiritual journey, one who has ascended. And this is about using that ancient, tried and true knowledge that comes back to the core of what we all, hopefully, when we experience this awakening and reawakening all the time, we are able to find out ourself within ourselves, honestly, by having beautiful epiphanies, sometimes scary epiphanies, right? I talked about that in the last video, I think. So the dragon energy is all about, the wisdom in the final episode. If you've ever seen it, I hate to, this is a spoiler, I guess. I never really talk about this, but I'm talking about a TV show. So at the end of Game of Thrones, the finale. This is huge. This is about the dragon, actually. Everybody considers it to be about the people who are really leading and fighting over the throne. They're like together, but they find out they're related. It's weird and twisted. Again, spoiler alert, Khaleesi and Jon Snow, and basically it is a long story, but she lost her mind and went power hungry and was starting to burn people. And so for the grace of and the, you know, sacrifice that he had to make, he had to basically stab her literally in the back, right in front of the dragon, the big dragon. And interestingly enough, I thought that it was beautiful. Speaking of the dragon's energy and wisdom, and I thought it was so cool. A lot of people don't like the ending, but the dragon, after he kills, you know, Khaleesi, which is what the dragon protects. It's the mother of dragons, right? Uh, he, everybody, I assumed that the dragon was going to obviously burn him, and he does rear up and he hesitates. And again, you can see the wisdom in the thinking process regarding emotions and contemplation that the dragon in that series was having. And he then made a statement silently. So this is all about silently making a statement by action, showing he burned the actual throne, the throne they were fighting over, right? He goes to almost exact revenge and be like, hey, you just stabbed my mother in the back, but it was showing wisdom that the dragon had actually seen that this was getting out of control and this Khaleesi was turning into, quote unquote, what her ancestors had been cursed with, or had, as Targaryens, they had adhered to burning people. Sometimes they were said to, you know, go crazy and burn people, especially um, with the dragons. The dragons breathed fire, but it's just a beautiful vibe. A lot of people didn't like that. I'm a big ol', if you've been, if you're listening to this now, you know that I'm obsessed with animals. I like to see symbolic meaning and put metaphors onto basically everything that we can and reflect using that in different ways because it can open our mind. And when we explore different type of analogies and things, I think that it makes it work for different people. And for me, I always have loved that. So talking about emotions, of course, because again, dragons are associated with water, emotions, and emotions that have to be sat with and conquered. So this is emotions that are really heavy, like grief and sorrow, things that again are kind of like the Hanged Man and Tarot, something that is very silent in the dragon's lair that has to be dealt with alone and is a dark place. That's the metaphor I thought that I'd throw out there too, guys. I think that it's about also a little vibe talking about assumption and what we assume, you know, the dragon is meant to be, because a lot of the different portrayals of dragons are of an aggressive nature. And again, like I said about traditional Chinese mythology and culture, the dragon was, again, just really, really honored and revered as a protector of the realms. Like, you know, and same thing with Game of Thrones. They were, you know, the people rode them, the Targaryens, and they protected what they, you know, their territory. So, um, I think that we always have to talk about things that are extraordinary abilities. So dragons can fly, dragons can be very thick skinned, they have almost impenetrable, right? They also, again, could have the power in Chinese culture of swimming fluidly through water and controlling weather, quite literally the wind and rain, and responsible for floods based on what they could do. They were very much a deciding factor in, you know, protecting their community, things like that. So it's talking about stepping up into a new level, perhaps of spiritual knowing or abilities that you never even thought that you would want to or could spontaneously, right? Because I wasn't really expecting my spontaneous, right, past life memory back in the day. It's on my channel if you want to take it out. But this is talking about things that perhaps, like, let's say you thought that levitation or walking on hot coals was an impossibility for you to do, and then you learned the technique that Buddhists learned. I mean, you learn the technique that Buddhists use to, you know, train your mind, or just use this concept of mind over matter consciousness, thinking about your internal being as something. Like, let's say you're trying to stay warm, and so again, you know, that age-old thing. Your mom would say, think that you're warm if you're cold, think that you're on a beach, something like that. So it's training yourself to be able to do incredible feats. So I think about, the transportation, like the Buddhists coming from one bank to the other, the levitation vibe, like maybe people who never believed David Blaine could levitate and do all those crazy things. He really did. He stayed in temperatures just like Wim Hof. This is talking about extraordinary capacity and protection. So if you relate to this energy, perhaps you do have thick skin, just like the dragon, or you can relate in some way of being divinely blessed or having good luck, fortune, maybe getting out of certain circumstances. And also, a lot of the spirit animals actually have an escort. I kind of call it like a great beyond escort vibe, where they are able to and known for transporting, accompanying, and moving to and from one ethereal realm, like one dimension to the other easily. So they are in the astral plane quickly. Also, I think that when we talk about the dragon spirit, we can talk about being extremely capable in size and stature. So someone who is relied upon, perhaps, like maybe you're the tallest one in the classroom, and that's a silly example, but have to do things that others aren't able to do based on your size, even if you're small and people rely on you to fit into places, things like that. A trait I think that is associated, very, very dignified, again, just very dignified. The sage energy with the dragon is about being respectful of everyone and everything. So I get the vibe of like respecting even, bugs, giving everyone the privilege and the entitled experience that we all have of being respected and treated with dignity, kindness, compassion, listening to others, and then getting the same in return, right? This is about also, this is when we talk about the dragon spirit requiring a big time appreciation of that which is rare. So it's almost like when you go to visit the Pope or something. This is like a dragon is so much of a divine symbol. Also, I think when we talk about the dragon energy, we have to talk about kingdoms, of course, leaders, rulers, emperors, a vibe of being an upper echelon, something that is a divine and privileged presence. So again, something to be respected, and is a pilgrimage that is something maybe even once of a lifetime, something that requires a real true appreciation of its rarity and the blessing it is to be in the present. So a reverence, a holy type of vibe, like showing, up and maybe watching. It's cheesy, I'm not into it, but it's sort of the vibe, the honor that is given to those coats of arms, I think it's called, where the guards change in England. It's just they're not, the ones that they don't waver when you try to put, some people make those videos and put their face in front of them, and they're very much unbreakable and unbent to the cause and what they've been assigned to. Like again, that knight that is knighted to protect, right, the king. So it's all about also having holy, cherished experiences that elevate us to different understandings, and again, those spiritual subjects or different core areas we're working on, all different and different levels, and there is no good or bad levels. This is all about just rising up within our own journey and also building others up, not scoffing or, looking down upon, not demeaning others that are maybe in a fear state, or they are not in an understanding that you are. And so you can be looking at a piece of your shadow when this comes up for you, and perhaps you are showing that vibe, which is not a high vibrating frequency, that is of condescension, right? So I love having all these things come up in my life. I've been really open and trying to look at all the things, and of course been through different scenarios. My mom's, again, not going through erasing the victimhood stance, and I am. And so these are different things. But then again, I have issues with the other things that she doesn't. It's just very, very intriguing, and I think we can all partner up, not even having to be the Virgo and Pisces or the Capricorn and Cancer, the opposites in the zodiac. I think that whoever we are, wherever we are, when we experience the rise of Kundalini energy, the dragon spirit definitely has a tie-in with and represents. This is something that challenges our perception of reality. Of course, it elevates us, but we come to understand the importance of this dignified, respected position and archetype of the dragon and what he represents, right? We understand that to activate that within ourselves, there is work to do what I definitely was guilty of doing in the beginning of my spiritual way. Me trying to do what is called a spiritual bypass, not truly thinking that I had processed, and it was, yeah, quite a lie that I was telling myself I had not. And so it takes a lot of work, and the work isn't to say your story, to explain what happened and move on. This is actual work and looking at doing like reflective notebooks and talking about things that may be uncomfortable to certain people, these beautiful spiritual lessons that crack you open and in my opinion, I think are very good for us, like taking accountability for our situations and taking accountability about our ability and the way in which we tend to focus on past traumas and how that impacts us in ways that could be either more positive or negative, right? So the dragon spirit, I could talk all night. I think we're already up to 40 minutes. A beautiful call to action is a vibe with the dragon. So the dragon, of course, is usually, if you see him in different stories or, things in pop culture, it's usually the dragon is leading the army or people. It's something that is, calling up the need to defend and to protect. The rising up of protection. I think that's a big, obvious thing that we're trying to do. Protect not only the earth, protect our future of our children's children and things of that nature. Protect this beautiful planet as best we can instead of trying to bail on it. That's my opinion, right? I mean, open to all your opinions, and I think that is probably my shadow, right, that I have to work on not being so afraid of this. Not afraid, but uncomfortable is the right word. Not in a fear space any longer, and it's a blessing, but uncomfortable with kind of like, well, we messed this one up, let's leave. I understand the soul and the beings, both humans and other planets that I believe exist. I think that it's in our nature to explore, just like we explore different areas and continents around the globe. Spark that is something that is so even kiltered and very dignified, classy, tactful. The passion and the inspiration that it builds in others is so contagious, and it is such a creative spark that begins to light up, again, quite literally, others and calls them to be activated, take their initiation to heal, to help, to contribute, work on, behavior, anything like that. This is all about integrating this and knowing that it is very, very easy to say that we understand these wisdoms and to say that we have forgiven somebody and to say that we don't want to have, self-talk and negative self-talk. But when we consistently don't practice ways that we can combat that, then we're almost asking ourselves to stay in the same self-fulfilling prophecy of that, right? I think that this is about the dragon fire in the belly, right? The creative energy that builds up within, metaphorically, and just being warm and content within. The dragon sits in a, again, dignified state that is one that doesn't need to be excitable, doesn't need to be giggly, high, or overzealous. It just is. So the oneness, the ability to be, again, I think of Ram Dass or Winhoff. I think of people like even Eckhart Tolle, people who are able to for long periods of time, remain in states that are not use this energy. But when we talk about the dragon spirit and the essence and what we can do when we're looking at this for any self-reflection or any help with our journey, we can see the genius within. So we can see a tried and true master, a tried and true, high level vibrating like just a beautiful frequency of absolute bliss. It's the blissed out state, the blissed out but not having to go proclaim to everybody like this little junior, right, soul baby over here. It's very, very beautiful too. The dragon is wise and never punishes, as far as if he is sought out for his wisdom. I just feel that the dragon is not going to condescend or scoff at any question. I think that basically the dragon has a lot of patience too, because he understands, having been through the journey, and never will allow himself to forget the different stages. And this is just like the hero's journey, the Alice in Wonderland, right? I just did a video about that, the going through these stages of harsh realities or awakenings to new truths that, are very, very consequential and things that shake us to our core. But in the end, the divine wisdom and the experience that we gain, of course, is the whole point to this very beautiful spiritual Broadway musical in the multiverse, right, guys? Anyways, I really appreciate you listening. If you still are, a very long video, but I think that I still had 2 more pages of notes down here. But I think what is meant to be described is on here, and I hope that you guys are having a positive outlook as much as you can, and when you're not beating yourself up for it. I hope that you're living with more compassion. I hope that you're like me, opening up when it's natural and finding your own voice and comfortability to do that which you're guided to do. Blessings, love, and light, guys. I really appreciate you.